Under your kitchen sink sits a small machine you almost never see. You scrape a plate, flip a switch, and the scraps simply vanish. There is a low growl, a rush of water, and then silence. Most people picture spinning blades down there, chopping away like a blender. But that picture is wrong. There are no blades inside a garbage disposal. Tonight, let's slice one open and watch what really happens to your food. A garbage disposal is a squat metal canister bolted beneath the drain. The top half is a grinding chamber, about the size of a coffee mug. The bottom half holds an electric motor. Between them sits a flat metal disc called the flywheel. Food waste falls into the upper chamber and lands on that disc. A rubber splash guard, the ring of soft flaps you see in the drain, keeps water and scraps from leaping back up at you. Flip the wall switch and the motor wakes. Inside the sealed lower housing, copper windings pull a steel rotor into a spin. That rotor shares a single shaft with the flywheel just above it. So when the motor turns, the disc turns with it, fast, around 1,700 rotations every minute. There are no gears and no belts. The spin is handed straight up the shaft into the chamber where the food is waiting on the plate. Here is the part that surprises people. The flywheel has no knives, no sharp edges, nothing that looks like it could cut. Instead, two blunt metal lugs sit on its surface. They are often called impellers, and they swivel freely on small pins. They look almost harmless, even clumsy. Yet these dull little tabs do the real work. The disposal does not slice your food at all. It does something stranger, and to see it, we have to follow the spin. As the flywheel spins, everything resting on it is thrown outward. This is the same force that pushes you against the door on a sharp turn. Bits of potato peel and eggshell slide across the disc and pile against the chamber wall. The swiveling lugs swing out too, riding the edge of the plate. Spinning fast, they sweep around like two blunt knuckles, shoving the trapped food hard against the wall again and again. The food has nowhere to go but the rim. That chamber wall is not smooth. It is lined with a fixed metal collar called the shredder ring or grind ring. Its inner face is covered in sharp ridges and small holes like a steel cheese grater curved into a circle. This ring never moves. It simply waits there while the flywheel spins inside it. So now we have a fast-moving plate below and a rough, stationary wall around it. The food is caught right in the narrow gap between them. Now the trick comes together. The spinning lugs press each scrap against that rough ring and the ridges scrape it apart. Soft food smears and tears. Harder bits, like a small chicken bone, get pinned and chipped away grain by grain. It is grinding, not chopping, closer to a mill than to a knife. The lugs swivel so they can fold back if something tough jams, then swing out and try again. Round and round, the scraps become a wet pulp. All this time, cold water is pouring down from the tap, and it has two jobs. First, it keeps everything cool and moving, so the pulp does not cake and clog. Second, it carries the ground food through those small holes in the shredder ring. Only particles tiny enough to pass the holes can escape the chamber. Anything still too big stays behind for another lap against the ring. The water is the conveyor belt that finally lets the food leave. Below the shredder ring, the slurry of water and fine pulp gathers in a lower channel and pours out through a side spout. From there, it flows into the drain pipe and down into the curved trap under your sink. That trap stays full of standing water, which blocks sewer gases from drifting back into your kitchen. The waste then joins the main drain line and heads off toward the sewer or septic tank, just like everything else from the sink. Sometimes something too tough drops in and the flywheel suddenly stops. To protect itself, the motor watches its own heat and current. If it strains too hard, an overload switch cuts the power before the windings can burn. That is why a dead disposal often just needs a rest and a press of the little red reset button on its underside. Many models also hide a small hex slot below, so you can turn the stuck flywheel by hand and free the jam. For all its strength, the disposal has clear limits. Stringy things like celery and corn husks wrap around the lugs instead of grinding. Grease pours in as a warm liquid, then cools and hardens deep in the pipe. Starchy peels can swell into a paste that plugs the drain. The machine is built for small bits of soft food scraps and a steady flow of water, not for clearing a whole plate at once. Used gently, it can run for many years. So follow the chain one more time. Scraps fall through the splash guard and onto the flywheel. The motor spins that disc at high speed. Blunt swiveling lugs fling the food against a fixed ridged shredder ring. The ridges grind every scrap into a wet pulp. Running water cools it and washes the fine bits through small holes. The slurry pours into the trap, then the drain. And an overload switch quietly stands guard the whole time. No blades, just spin and stone. A whole grinding mill hidden in a can the size of a mug, doing its quiet work under the floor of your sink. Next time you flip that switch, you'll know there are no blades down there at all, only a spinning plate, a rough ring, and a little rushing water. Thanks for watching The Cutaway. We'll see you at the next slice.